up, everyone? Welcome to Don't Fake the Funk, MMA Vista. And sorry I fucked this up again. We do.
Fuck it. I'm the one that's like fucking up. I've been slipping the last couple of months. I've been like, this is like the first episode for quite a while. I'm on, right?
The last one. What was the last one?
I don't even remember. Like the last one, I fucked up totally. I was spending time in the Alps with my lady, and I was high on fucking mushrooms, fucking with Mountain View. So pussy over podcasts. I'm sorry.
I can't blame you for that at all. I mean, gotta have priorities, But
sure.
yeah, no problem. It worked out all right. And thanks to everyone who listened, and thanks to everyone for the great feedback for the episode with Wheelchair Jiu-Jitsu Brian. Yeah, thanks to everyone. Great episode. But always fun to talk to a guy.
And other related news, we're on Stitcher now too, right?
Oh yeah, if you go on Stitcher and type in Fist Button Network, I think, or just Fist Button, you find the whole Fist Button Network, which Danny Pinn from Australia, he set this whole thing up. And if you go on there, and we're under the Fist Button Network now on Stitcher too, and on iTunes. So shout out to Danny for hooking us up,
Fuck yes.
Awesome. And every Saturday, Fist Button Radio. I don't know exactly what time now because of all the time changes, Yeah, but he'll be tweeting Danny Pinn on Twitter and Fist Button on Twitter. So look it up and it's like one of the best internet radio shows in my opinion.
Fuck yes, this shit. That the whole concept is fucking tremendous. This shit is gonna go big,
Yeah, fucking awesome, great guy. So thanks to Danny.
Yo, thank you.
And this one will just be MMA Vista short preview episode for the upcoming UFC cards. 2 this weekend. First one on Friday night in Australia. And I just heard a couple days ago that our friends Jason G on Twitter and what's this other Australian one? Adam, right? Our friend Adam, what's his Twitter name? I gotta look it up real quick. Jason and Adam Thomas Adams.
Ah, fucking
yeah.
That's man.
Adam.
He's still fucking Twitter absent, right?
Yeah, I haven't seen him tweeting at all. But he's around, and he is going to be at the event with Jason. He said they're going to be there.
Awesome.
So great card. It's gonna be Saturday morning in Australia. I think it starts around like 10 a.m., which is kind of weird to watch fights, but I mean, they got to get used to it, UFC doesn't give a shit. They like, yeah, we want this prime time for Europe and America. So you got to watch fights.
Yeah, I don't think they want that prime time for Europe because they don't give a flying fuck, but they want that prime time for America, I think.
Yeah, for America, that's the main priority, but still, yeah, it's not really prime time for us if it starts at 3 a.m. or whatever.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you look at the card, we're just going to make it a quick one because most of the fights on the card are not really that interesting. Maybe we go...
They might turn out to be, but on paper they're not,
Yeah, it's not really big names, not really ranked fighters, so to say. And we can just say who we're gonna think will win the co-main event. Ross Pearson, Al Iaquinta. Just what do you think?
I think
breakdown. Just
that's a tough one. I mean, I like Al Iaquinta as a fighter, but he seems to struggle during his last couple of fights. I mean, the Rodrigo Dam fight was okay, but on the other hand, Rodrigo Dam is not exactly like top-notch competition, and Ross Pearson fucking is, and the guy has fucking bricks for fists. I think Ross Pearson is going to knock him the fuck out.
Yeah, I actually think so too. Maybe a late stoppage, maybe second round, third round.
To be like knockout. I'm pretty sure about that.
Yeah, because Iaquinta mainly has his wrestling and Pearson is pretty decent takedown defense. So, yeah, and he's a good striker. As you said, for this division, it's also good power in his hands. And Iaquinta showed a little bit of a declined, maybe, like you said. So yeah, I'm picking Ross Pearson too. And then let's go to the main event. One of the biggest grudge matches in UFC history in a while, you know.
Finally, it's going down.
Yeah, Michael Bisping against Luke Rockhold. Oh shit. Yeah, they don't really like each other. A lot going on there. Michael Bisping said that a couple years ago he beat the fuck out of Luke Rockhold in a sparring session, and yeah.
That's like some dumb shit to say. You know, even if it's true, you don't fucking talk about that. You know.
Yeah, but I can understand. You know, Michael Bisping's very aware of how to hype a fight. You know, and how to get attention and stuff. And you know, that's one part of the game, I guess. I mean, of course, it's not really a great move to talk about what happened years ago when Luke Rockhold was like coming up as a fighter. What happened in sparring? It's totally fucked up to talk about this, but it's hyping up the fight, and right now it's one of the biggest grudge matches right now in UFC.
I mean, I have to admit, there was some great fucking talk going on, you know? You gotta give him that. Like, Michael Bisping, sometimes, you know, but I think sometimes everybody goes over the fucking line, but Michael Bisping is hilarious when it comes to trash talk, you know?
Oh yeah, he's definitely still keeping relevant, you know. Although he has like a couple setbacks, he always comes back and makes his fight a lot more interesting than it normally would be without all the trash talk, you know. And also there were before the fight was set up, there were talks about Luke Rockhold against Lyoto Machida.
Uh-huh.
And then because of all this trash talk and all, I guess the UFC changed their mind, and yeah, they set up Rockhold against Bisping and Machida against CB Dollaway. That's gonna happen in a couple of weeks, like in December sometime. Well, and if you look at Luke Rockhold's record, like the last 3 fights, he only had 3 fights in UFC. So his first fight in UFC.
That's true, right? He came from Strikeforce. That's true. It's only 3. Yeah. I really didn't recognize it, but it's only 3. You're right.
Yeah, he came in UFC like 1.5 years ago, and he fought Vitor Belfort right away, and Belfort knocked him out with his crazy spinning heel kick.
Yeah, well, fucking Vitor Belfort got fucking knocked out by his own testicles, you know?
Yeah, that was like a different kind of Vitor Belfort back then.
Yeah.
And yeah, then he came back. I think he was injured because that was like a long break from May till January. That he probably was injured. I don't remember. I don't really know. But he really fucked up Costa Philippou, knocked him out with a vicious liver kick. I think it was a liver kick, right? Like it was a body kick, I remember, but probably liver kick.
Yep.
And then this year in April, he
fought Tim Boetsch.
At Jones against Teixeira, UFC 172, and really great submission. It really showed how good his groundwork is. If you look at the fight, after a couple seconds, he gets into the scramble, locks up Boetsch. He shot for a takedown. Rockhold sprawled and immediately went for this inverted triangle.
Yeah.
So he controlled him this way, and then he got the arm somehow and got the Kimura hold. Really great submission, very unique submission. Awesome win. And let's go to Michael Bisping. What happened to him recently?
The last fight, Kong Lee, of course, who tried to pull a fucking Vitor Belfort. You know, I'm not on steroids. It's just the lighting in the picture.
Yeah, that's a whole nother story. The whole fucking disaster that happened there. That they said UFC made him like sent the test samples to some weird lab in Hong Kong or wherever. They said that he was on HGH, elevated tests, and blah blah. And now they said this test wasn't legit, so he's a free man now, so to say. They said this because this lab isn't really a legit lab to do tests like this. So
Yeah, why use it then? You're
Yeah,
the
because
biggest
they
fucking
fucked up.
promotion for mixed martial arts in the world. Why would you use like a fucking Chinaman in Hong Kong who does fucking steroid tests in his basement?
Well, it probably has to do because the fight Bisping against Lee was in Macau, so maybe the commission there. I don't know exactly.
Do they have a commission?
I don't know. I don't know how it works really, but they fucked up. So yeah, now basically they're saying Kung Lee wasn't on HGH or he was clean and the
Yeah,
test.
but I mean, seriously, if you think about it, look at his body right now, and look at his body like 6 months ago, or a year ago. I mean, he's done all those movies and shit. I think he fucking popped whatever, and then
Yeah, I believe the UFC fucked up that they did the test at like a shitty fucking lab that isn't legit. But I
yeah,
also don't think that Kung Lee was clean. So
yeah, I don't think so either.
yeah.
I
So
think
yeah.
he's on fucking stuff. But anyway, fuck that. The other fight was Michael Bisping versus Tim Kennedy this year I think it was early this year, right?
Yeah, this was in April, and
Yeah.
yeah, Kennedy dominated Bisping for 5 rounds.
This was fucking boring.
Yeah, it wasn't really the best fight.
Nope.
Then a year before that, Bisping had a year-long break. I didn't realize that. He won a decision against Alan Belcher at Jones against Sonnen, UFC 159.
Uh-huh.
So you could say that
it wasn't that fight. That was not a full fight, right? Because of something. That was.
yeah. Belcher had an eye injury. Oh, now I remember why Bisping was out. He had this eye injury where he couldn't see and his eye was all fucked up. You remember?
That's true. Yeah.
So he was actually, it wasn't sure if he could come back to fighting because his eye was so fucked up he couldn't see for a while. And maybe it was still bothering him in the Tim Kennedy fight because in the stand-up against Kennedy he seemed very slow and his reaction time was off kind of.
That's right. Yeah.
Kennedy hit him with some big shots. And if you look at the Kung Lee fight, he looked so much better in that
Yeah,
fight.
way better.
Way better. His movement, angles, counters, and just, he picked him apart. He beat the fuck out of Kung Lee. I didn't expect that. Actually,
yeah, but I think it's the thing about Bisping. I think he, with the eye injury and everything, I think he really wasn't able to live up to his full potential. And I think we're starting to see that right now, really.
Yeah, that could be that he's fully recovered now and he's really back on track. The thing is, a lot of people in MMA media and whatever they say that he's 35 now, so it might be his last chance at a run to the title, to get a title shot.
Yeah.
Because he's been in the UFC so long and never got a title shot because he always lost important fights against, if we go back, he lost against
Rashad Evans, Dan Henderson, Vanderlei Silva, Chael Sonnen, Peter Belfort.
Yeah, and Kennedy. Well, Kennedy was like in the middle a little bit. But yeah, he always lost the important fights. So if he wants to get a title shot, he needs to go on a streak. He beat Kung Lee. He needs to beat Luke Rockhold, and then maybe someone else, and then he might get a title shot actually. But if he loses this fight now, it's gonna be really tough to get back on because it takes a while to get 3 fights in UFC. That's like at least a year normally. 3 fights is like the normal amount of fights for a UFC fighter a year. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, he's maybe his last chance. If he loses this one, it's going to be tough to get a title shot. And now to break down a fight a little bit, what do you think about this one?
It's tough, I mean, I think definitely Luke Rockhold, without a question, has the advantage on the ground. I think it's really dependent a lot on how well Michael Bisping's takedown defense is. I think if it gets to the ground, I don't think I mean, Bisping is good defensively on the ground, but his offense, I don't think he can amount up to, beating him on the ground. I think if he's able to keep it standing, I mean, Luke Rockhold doesn't have bad stand up, like we saw against Costas Philippou, but I don't think that he can beat Bisping in like a stand up contest. I think Bisping's kickboxing is too technical, and I think just better than Luke Rockhold's. So it's hard to call, but I'm gonna go with Michael Bisping. Uh, huh. The outcome, I don't know. I'm just gonna go with Michael Bisping. That's my lock.
Yeah, and it's gonna be 5 rounds too, so you gotta see that. Maybe a decision for Bisping, in your opinion? Because that would be a big deal if Bisping finished Kung Lee and then came back and finished Luke Rockhold. Would be huge.
Yeah, I would love to see it though. I really would like to see him fight for the title and stuff. But yeah, I'm gonna go with the decision for Michael Bisping.
Yeah, I kind of disagree though, because I don't think that Rockhold will look for the fight to go to the ground really, because he's not primarily a wrestler. He's good on the ground, but he's more like a guy. If you take him to the ground, kind of, he's not like the typical taking you down and taking top control and stuff. He's more like...
It's true, but what I'm thinking about is just like weaknesses, and I think he's pretty aware of that. He's better on the ground, so he might take advantage of it. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, but like you said, Bisping has really good takedown defense, and I don't know if Rockhold really has the same kind of takedowns as Tim Kennedy. Like Tim Kennedy is a strong, stocky guy, and I also think that Luke Rockhold's stand up is pretty damn good. And he's damn tall for the division too. He's like 6'3", has a long reach, and he's a very rangy fighter, a lot of kicks and stuff, Yeah, he uses his reach very well. It's a close fight in my opinion, especially like you say, if it stays on the feet. But I think Rockhold has a little more, maybe in stand-up, more finishing ability. I don't know. Could be wrong, but yeah, I feel like Bisping is at maybe kind of the end of his career, and Rockhold is coming up. It's a little more the fresher fighter, maybe a little quicker, more. He has more tools in the stand-up, maybe. Also using his reach, keeping Bisping a little bit at distance. Not letting him in, using combinations and stuff. So yeah, I'm going with Rockhold by decision actually. I mean, it could be a very close fight. Who knows? Maybe.
I think it will be actually.
Yeah, Bisping wins the first two, and then it could be like a very close decision.
You have to put a lockdown, and I mean, it's really hard to judge these fights because they're like just like. Not the level, but like the different attributes and stronger points. They're so minimal. It's really hard to call. But personally, I would love to see Bisping win. That's why I have to go with him. I believe his kickboxing can persevere if he shows up in the same kind of shape he was versus Conley.
Yeah. So you're going Bisping by decision. I'm going Rockhold by decision. It's not often that we pick differently, right? Most times we pick the same.
Actually not.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I don't really have a favorite, like I'm not really rooting for anyone in this fight. I just hope for a good fight. It's one of those fights where I just watch and don't really care too much who wins. Just want a good fight in this one. But that's going to be different on the next one on Saturday in the Brazil event.
It will be, yeah. I mean, it's Mauricio Shogun versus whatever this fucking French name is pronounced.
Preux. And he's replacing.
I I do not I do not speak French. You know, I fucking know. I just don't. Have you ever been like to France and you start to talk like English to somebody and they just fucking look at you with this fucking blank stare in their face like they never heard that language before and you're supposed to talk fucking French? Fuck you, you know?
Yeah, they don't really like speaking anything else than French there. They're not that open-minded with languages, really.
Fucking faggots. But he's from Miami, Florida, actually, right?
Yeah, he's not. I always thought that he's like French Canadian, but I think he's American, man.
Yeah.
I don't know where this name comes from. But he's replacing Jimmy Manuwa, who got injured like a week ago. So interesting replacement. But let's talk about real quick about the co-main event first, because that's the number one contender fight in the flyweight division. Is it really a number one contender fight? It probably is, right? I mean, is it like? Did they really say it? Dana White or whoever, like, that's the number one contender fight? I don't really remember or have seen this, but it should be. I mean, who else is there? It's Ian McCall against John Lineker. What do you think? Just real quick.
It's gonna be it's tough too, you know. I mean,
yeah, that's
John Lineker. Fucking, you know, he's great stand up. You know, he's on a roll. Except for that fight against Ali Bogatinov. You know, that was a little bit of a stone in the road. You know.
Yeah.
And Ian McCall, his last fights, you know, against Brad Pickett and what was the other guy? I don't. I think it was both were decisions.
Yeah. He hasn't finished anyone in a while.
Yeah. So judging by that alone, you know, I mean, Ian McCall is I think a little bit better on the ground, but I don't think that's gonna do anything in this fight. I think John Lineker is gonna win by stoppage.
Wow. Yeah, John Lineker probably has the most power in this division in his punches. He's got great knockout power.
Yeah.
But I feel like Ian McCall has a lot more movement, is a lot more fluid with his striking and stuff, mixing it up a lot more with kicks and all. And Lineker is kind of the Wanderlei Silva stand up a little bit, like swinging hard, very tense, and not really setting it up that good. But if he connects, it's dangerous. But yeah, just to make it quick, I'm going with Ian McCall by decision, that one. Just winning most of the striking battles, avoiding to get punched in the face. And probably not going to be a lot of ground game like in this fight, I think.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
All right, then let's go to the main event. Mauricio Shogun Rua against Vincent Preux. And I gotta say, Shogun Rua is one of my favorite fighters all time, probably top 3. So I'm always a little biased when he fights. And watching him against Dan Henderson earlier this year in March, that was really hard to watch for me because he was looking very good. He almost finished Dan twice. One in the first round, you almost got him. In the second round, you almost got him. Then Dan Henderson, you never can count a guy out with such knockout power, you know. Just one punch changed the whole fight and broke his nose and sent Shogun rolling all over the octagon. And yeah, great win for Dan Henderson.
Yeah, and especially a guy like, you know, Shogun Rua. You know, if you remember back in the Pride days, you know, he was fighting like a fucking Street Fighter character, you know, all those fucking crazy kicks and, you know, jumping kicks and those stomps, and he was a tremendous guy, you know, and seeing him in the UFC overall is like, you know, if you've seen him in Pride and you really appreciate what he did there, it's kind of hard watching his UFC career, you know what I mean? And that Dan Henderson fight, that was a rough one for me too. I mean, he got fucked up, you know.
Yeah. It came so suddenly too, you know. He was looking good in a fight, and then one punch changed the whole thing.
Yeah, and I mean,
crazy.
And his, you know, judging by his last 5 fights, you know, I think I hate to say it, but I think his career is coming to an end too, you know.
I mean, honestly, I'm a huge fan, but I gotta say, it should soon. But
yeah,
he keeps saying that he has like 4 or 5 more years to fight, you know, and I don't really agree with that. I mean,
Yeah, and it's he's only 32, but the thing is, he came from fucking shoot the box. He got his head fucking rattled every fucking day just throwing down with those fucking animals. That can't be healthy. At some point, I think you just pay the price, and I think that's the point he's at right now.
and he's been fighting for like 15 years almost. Like he won the Pride open weight. What is it? Open weight Grand Prix in Pride. He won that 9 years ago. So
yeah, it's the middleweight Grand Prix. Yeah,
middleweight. Yeah, exactly. But so yeah, he's been fighting for a long time. Crazy battles and a lot of damage. And if you look at his last 4 fights, Dan Henderson knocked him out. Then he had a great win against James Tehuna, and then 2 losses against Charles Sonnen and Gustafsson. Yeah. So, not really looking that good.
Yeah.
And his opponent, Owen St. Preux, Strikeforce veteran. He
left us with the most boring fight of this year so far. I mean, that fight versus Ryan Bader, that was fucking Thorazine in motion,
It was horrible, yeah. That was a shitty fight.
Yeah.
And it was main event too, so definitely worst main event this year in my opinion. So he lost the decision against Ryan Bader. Then he had a submission win against Ryan Jimmo, and then a von Flue shoulder choke win against Nikita Krylov.
Yeah, we talked about this before we recorded this. That was actually a great finish.
Yeah, definitely. But this Nikita Krylov guy, he looked like he had no fucking clue what he was doing on the ground, really. So
exactly. That's the other side of the coin,
Yeah, this guy had no fucking clue at all. But
and I mean, the only real competition he ever had was Gegard Mousasi and Ryan Bader, and he lost both fights by decision. So if Shogun is, that far gone, he might have a chance of, catching him or knocking him out. But I don't think he has the fucking power to. I think this fight is gonna, Shogun Rua is gonna win this fight, I think.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at Sampur, his stand-up is very unorthodox. He tries to jump in with crazy punches, not setting it up really good, just relying on his explosiveness and stuff. And he has solid grappling too, good, solid wrestling, and he might look for takedowns against Shogun. That could happen, that he tries to be a little bit on the outside, exploding in with punches and then trying to get a hold of Shogun. Maybe that's his game plan.
But I can really see him winning on the ground either, I don't think his ground game is that good that he can submit Shogun,
No, I don't see a submission either.
Oh.
I feel like if Sampur wins, then it would be a decision, or Shogun is really that fucked up and he hits Shogun with something big and knocks him out, which would be kind of sad. But I think Shogun really he looked good against Dan Henderson. From his stand-up looked pretty good. Like when Dan Henderson came rushing in and trying to hit him, he countered pretty good, and I could see that Sampur will try that too, like rushing in and will like a leaping left hook, and then Shogun counters him, something like that.
But on the other hand, he's not no Dan Henderson. The guy has fucking concrete in his fists. I don't see that guy with the French name. I don't see him. To me personally, I don't see a way that he's winning. So I'm going with Shogun definitely. I think he has this one locked.
Well, I'm not. I really hope so, but I'm not that optimistic. I'll just hope for Shogun to be the tougher fighter, relying on his experience and maybe in the deeper rounds, like maybe third or fourth round, still being the fresher fighter. I don't know, maybe damaging Sampur a little bit before that, hurting him, and then finishing him in the later rounds.
To me personally, it all goes down to Shogun's chin in this fight. How does his chin hold up? And if it does, I think he has this fight won.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people say his chin is declining and fading and stuff, but he got hit with a fucking right hook from hell by Dan Henderson.
Yeah.
And his nose was like broken in fucking little pieces. So, yeah. I mean, I know a lot of people out there, they think that Sam Preux is actually a tougher fight for Shogun than Jimmy Manuwa. Where I disagree.
I disagree as well.
Because Jimmy Manuwa is a fucking beast. He has crazy power. And I see why people say that Sam Preux is a tougher fight, because he might be more well-rounded and maybe a better grappling and stuff. But Jimmy Manuwa is a fucking beast, and I really had... I was really thinking that Manuwa could knock Shogun out in worst case scenario for me.
Yeah.
So I don't really have that fear, so to say, against Sam Preux. And as you say, I'm going with Shogun by 4th round TKO or KO. TKO, yeah. 4th round.
I'm gonna go with it as well, you know. I think that's a good call, yeah.
Yeah. Let's hope so. Because I want Shogun to win.
Yeah, me too.
I normally I try to not when I pick fights or pick winners and stuff, I try to be like neutral, you know, just look at the fighters, but sometimes it's tough. Actually, just real quick, a little piece of information there. My worst pick ever when I picked a winner of a fight, my worst pick ever was picking Shogun when he fought John Jones, and I picked Shogun by submission.
Oh, damn.
It was my worst pick ever.
Damn.
That one backfired big time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah. We really didn't buy the hype back then. John Jones hype, you know. What can you do?
Yeah, I mean, he at that time, you know, he didn't, I mean, he fought Matyushenko and Bader at that point.
Yeah.
And, I mean, he wasn't the guy you see today. You know? And that's another thing, you know, John Jones is a fucking douche canoe. That guy is the fucking, I think it's the guy that I like the least, you know, and I'm not like no guy that's like you said, out there, you know, just favoriting people. I like to look at fighters, but the way fucking John Jones carries himself is fucking pathetic, man. The guy's like behaving like a 14-year-old. It's pathetic.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm sure we'll talk more about this leading up to early next year when John Jones will fight Daniel Cormier finally.
Yeah.
Hopefully. And what else? UFC 180 in Mexico City is coming up Saturday in a week. And
Awesome.
we will be recording another one of these probably Monday with predictions for the whole main card, right? For UFC Mexico City. We'll do the whole main card. Mark Hunt against Fabricio Werdum after Kane had to pull out an injury, which is devastating for UFC because he's probably, or definitely, the biggest star in Mexico they have.
He has to be. I mean, who else is there?
Yeah,
you know, he's the fucking heavyweight champion.
Diego Sanchez had to pull out too, which is bad. Yeah, it's not good for them either. But yeah, Mark Hunt against Werdum. I'm really looking forward to this one. We'll do a little preview on Monday. All right.
Maybe my voice doesn't sound like fucking. Maybe my voice doesn't sound like. I sound like even more. How should I say this? I sound even more like a faggot right now with all this snot in my nose, you know.
Jesus Christ. All right, then thanks to everyone for listening. See you next time on Don't Fake
The Funk.
Funk.